What does it take to become the ultimate symbol of luxury? Rolls-Royce didn't just answer, they invented the question and then sold it back at a premium. From crafting engines that powered legendary World War II aircraft and the world's largest passenger plane, the A380, to creating cars so exclusive only royalty or the most elite can own them. So fasten your seatbelts, polish your monocle, and prepare for a golden ride you probably won't forget. This is the evolution of Rolls-Royce Part 2. In 1938, Rolls-Royce set up a factory that would change the course of aviation history. During the Second World War, their Merlin and Griffin engines powered the Spitfire, giving it the edge in speed and agility that was crucial in battles like the Battle of Britain. Those engines also powered the Lancaster bomber, carrying the heaviest payloads, including the Grand Slam, the most powerful conventional bomb of the war. Rolls-Royce's legacy went far beyond luxury, shaping history when the world needed it most. Interestingly, Rolls-Royce continued innovating, becoming a major engine producer for Airbus and Boeing, but more on how they revolutionized aviation later. The first Rolls-Royce after the Second World War, the Silver Wraith, was built alongside the Bentley Mark VI at their new factory. Given the whole war just ended and we're all broke situation, Rolls-Royce thought, let's go small-ish. It featured upgrades like a stronger chassis and a larger 4.9-liter engine, pushing it to 80 miles per hour. The Silver Wraith also became a film icon, appearing in Batman, Batman Returns, and several James Bond films.
That is a 1948 Rolls-Royce Silver Wraith.
From Russia with Love to Spectre, it's basically the Leonardo DiCaprio of cars. Fun fact, the world's elite couldn't get enough either. Ireland's presidential state car has been a Silver Wraith since 1947. And it's also the official ride for the presidents of Brazil and Zimbabwe since 1952. Even Queen Juliana of the Netherlands had one as her royal limousine. Fancy, right? In 1949, Rolls-Royce unleashed the Silver Dawn, a smaller four-door car. Still going with a less is more approach after the war, it was the first Rolls-Royce with a factory-built body, ditching custom builds to cut costs. By 1953, the E-Series brought a larger trunk and the option for an automatic gearbox, finally sparing aristocratic hands from manual shifting. The Silver Dawn reached 94 miles per hour with 760 units sold at 4,700 pounds. And before you blame Grandpa for missing out, that's over $200,000 today. The Rolls-Royce Phantom 4 wasn't just born in 1950, it was crowned. One of the rarest cars ever, and it was reserved for the absolute elite. Queen Elizabeth II, General Franco of Spain, and Iraq's last king, to name a few. Just 3 Phantoms left the factory per year. It's unclear if Rolls-Royce had an official rule, but only royalty and heads of state ever owned one. It's like they said, regular rich folks, hard pass. Under the hood, Rolls-Royce equipped the Phantom 4 with its only straight-8 engine, borrowed from their military arsenal, because if you're driving this beast, you need the option to crush a revolution if necessary. Speed wasn't the point here. This engine was all about smooth, slow, ceremonial elegance, ideal for moving like a royal sloth. And naturally, every Phantom 4 was custom-made. Heaven forbid 2 kings ended up with the same model. Of the 18 units made, 16 still exist in museums and private collections. Interestingly, it's doubtful if Rolls-Royce even made a profit from the Phantom 4, but its role in boosting the company's prestige is undeniable. The Silver Cloud hit the scene in 1955, bringing a fresh design by John Blatchley, the mastermind behind several Bentleys and Rolls-Royces. With a 4.9-liter engine, it could reach 103 miles per hour and go from 0 to 60 in 13.5 seconds, making it the fastest Rolls-Royce of its time. By 1956, power steering and air conditioning were added because, naturally, luxury meant never breaking a sweat. Priced around $215,000 in today's money, it was a true status symbol. Meanwhile, Mercedes-Benz stopped in and said, "Hold my bratwurst." They launched the W186 Model 300, matching the Silver Cloud's luxury price but proving superior in performance. And if that wasn't enough, Mercedes introduced the 300 SLR Uhlenhaut Coupe in 1955, a car that became an automotive legend. In 2022, one sold for an eye-watering $143 million, making it the most expensive car ever sold. Fun fact, Donald Trump owns a Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud, but here's the twist. Once you become US president, you aren't allowed to drive on public roads. So Trump is probably in the back seat, scrolling through X and stirring up controversy while someone else does the driving. The Silver Cloud 2 debuted in 1959 with a major upgrade under the hood, the new 6.2-liter V8 engine, allowing it to reach a top speed of 114 miles per hour. Power steering was now standard, and there was even an option for electronic windows, because manually rolling down a window in a Rolls-Royce? Practically a human rights violation. Here's where it gets fun. In 2022, a Silver Cloud 2 became the cheapest Rolls-Royce ever sold. How cheap? A. $23,300, B. $12,780, or C. $700. Yep, the answer is C, just $700. But don't get too excited. It was more scrapyard survivor than status symbol. The final model, the Silver Cloud 3, launched in 1963 and lost a solid 220 pounds. Guess you could call it the Silver Cloud Slim Edition. It got a slight engine upgrade with better fuel efficiency, just in time for rising fuel prices. In 1985, WWE, then known as the World Wrestling Federation, gave away a black Silver Cloud 3, with one lucky fan driving home in luxury. Among the Silver Cloud series, Rolls-Royce made 2,238 of the Silver Cloud 1, 2,417 of the Silver Cloud 2, and only 2,044 of the Silver Cloud 3. Meanwhile, Mercedes took the lead, selling over 12,000 units of their W183 model. Now, here's a truly iconic Rolls-Royce model, adored by royals and celebrities, the 1959 Phantom 5. This luxurious four-door limousine, based on the Silver Cloud 2, kept the V8 engine and introduced a unique walking speed gear for ceremonial driving. Rolls-Royce brought in top coach builders, Park Ward and James Young, to ensure it looked like royalty on wheels. And as soon as the Silver Cloud 3 came in '63, the Phantom 5 got a boost to stay above all the peasants, horsepower-wise. With 832 models sold, it wasn't as rare as the Phantom 4, but its celebrity owners were legendary, from British royalty to rock stars and Hollywood icons. One of the most famous Phantom 5 owners, none other than John Lennon, who purchased an all-black model. Surprisingly, Lennon didn't even have a license yet. In 1965, the Beatles famously rode this car to Buckingham Palace to receive their MBE honors from Queen Elizabeth II. Lennon later handed Rolls-Royce a massive 7-page list of custom requests, including a back seat that could turn into a bed, turning his Phantom into a hotel suite on wheels. Then he splashed it with a bright yellow inspired by Romany gypsy art, not psychedelics as some assumed. Some loved the design, others hated it, like an English woman who shouted, "You swine! How dare you do that to a Rolls-Royce?" before smacking it with her umbrella. Rolls-Royce's design director, Giles Taylor, even called it graffiti on Buckingham Palace. Despite the controversy, Lennon's Phantom 5 sold for $2.3 million in 1985 and now sits in a Canadian museum. He was such a fan of the Phantom 5 that he bought a second one in 1968, this time in white to match the Beatles' White Album. Other famous fans of the Phantom? Elton John and Elvis Presley. Elton went with a pink version because, well, it's Elton. Elvis, on the other hand, installed a phone and microphone, probably to practice his next hit between red lights. Even British royals couldn't resist. Queen Elizabeth II owned one, which now belongs to King Charles III. Fun fact, Elvis originally chose a midnight blue for his Phantom, but in a twist straight out of farm comedy, his mom's chickens started pecking at the paint, so the King of Rock had it repainted in light silver. Elvis 0, chickens 1. In 1965, Rolls-Royce nearly released the Silver Mist, but in German, Mist means crap. Imagine the Silver Crap cruising the Autobahn. Real classy. They wisely renamed it Silver Shadow. Falling behind on innovation, Rolls-Royce aimed to modernize the company with the Silver Shadow, featuring a unified body and chassis paired with Citroën's high-pressure suspension for a new era of smoothness and luxury. The Silver Shadow came in multiple styles, including a special limousine model named the Silver Wraith 2 that nearly got the Phantom 7 title. One famous owner was Bhagwan Sri Ranish, the Rolls-Royce guru, who would cruise past his followers in one of his 93 Rolls-Royces. What a humble guy. But apparently, that wasn't enough. His followers wanted him to have 365. After all, what's enlightenment without a new Rolls-Royce every day? In 1977, Rolls-Royce rolled out the Silver Shadow 2 with a smoother suspension and new bumpers to satisfy U.S. safety standards. Priced around $200,000 in today's money, the Silver Shadow was a huge success, blending timeless luxury with modern updates. It remains the most produced Rolls-Royce ever, with over 30,000 units made. Fun fact, the iconic Rolls-Royce badge was originally red, but in 1933, they swapped it for black. Many believed it was to honor Henry Royce, who passed away in the same year. The truth? They just thought black matched better. Then, for the 75th anniversary, they revived the red badge on 75 Silver Shadows. Enter the Phantom 6, making its grand debut in 1968 and holding the title as the last Rolls-Royce with a separate chassis. It looked so much like the Phantom 5 that you'd think it was playing Spot the Difference. But its engine was a powerhouse, especially when it was upgraded to a 6.8-liter V8, hitting a top speed of 140 miles per hour. Quite the speed for a luxury limousine. Production stretched over 22 years, with only 374 of these ultra-luxury rides made. As for the price, that depended on your fancy taste, but one sold for £498,000 in 1990. That's $1.8 million today. So basically, the price of a luxury villa or, an entire neighborhood of average cars. Fun fact, Queen Elizabeth II owned 2 Rolls-Royce Phantom 6s, serving as her official state cars until 2002. When these Phantoms were in royal service, the iconic Rolls-Royce hood ornament was swapped for a statue of St. George, England's patron saint, slaying a dragon. Guess dragons aren't just fairy tales after all. The Rolls-Royce Corniche might have officially launched in 1971, but its roots trace back to a 1939 prototype that sadly didn't survive World War II bombings. The car's designer, George Paulin, was a legend in his own right. He even worked as a spy during World War II and sacrificed his life for the resistance. With a name like Corniche, meaning coastal road in French, this two-door beauty made waves among celebrities. David Bowie, Paul McCartney, and Frank Sinatra owned one, and James May from Top Gear hopped on the trend. Of course, Clarkson couldn't resist calling it just a Ford Zephyr with a chrome nose.
Does your car have a hydraulically operated sunshine roof?
No.
Hydraulic windows?
No.
Hydraulic seats?
No.
Hydraulic doors?
No.
Hydraulic boot lid?
No.
Well, there you are.
Right, that's that then, is it?
No, you just got a Ford Zephyr with a chrome nose, that's all wrong.
The Corniche kept evolving. The Corniche 2 in '86, then the Corniche 3 in '89 with new suspension and airbags, marking a first for Rolls-Royce. By 1992, the Corniche 4 rolled out, with adaptive suspension and a 20% power boost to its V8 engine. 3 years later came the turbocharged Corniche S, which was a rare gem with only 25 units produced. Altogether, Rolls-Royce made 6,262 Corniches, leaving a serious legacy on coastal roads and red carpets alike. In 1971, financial troubles forced Rolls-Royce into a government buyout. 2 years later, it split into Rolls-Royce Motors for cars and Rolls-Royce Holdings for aircraft engines. Fast forward to 2024, and Rolls-Royce Holdings has become a giant with 50,000 employees, compared to Motors' 2,100. As the world's second-largest aerospace company, valued at over $62 billion, it powers major aircraft like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and the behemoth Airbus A380, the world's largest passenger airliner. Fun fact, Rolls-Royce's logo evolution is a wild ride. It began in 1906 with a crest that looked like it introduced a new house in Harry Potter, House RR, where wallets replace wands. By 1911, they'd slapped on a new badge, as if they were set on conquering the world. Then came several logos, and in 1998, the iconic rectangle. By 2020, it's just two R's, like they're saying, we don't need to show off, you already know. Entering a new era under the Rolls-Royce Motors brand, the Camaro debuted in 1975. Bringing an Italian flair by designer Paolo Martin, it was the first ever post-war Rolls not designed in-house. This two-door luxury saloon carried a familiar V8 with a slight power boost. At launch, it became Rolls-Royce's flagship model and held the title of the world's most expensive production car, priced at £29,250, about $400,000 today. Over its 11-year run, only 531 units were produced, not even a tenth of the Cornish's numbers. Fun fact, the Rolls-Royce Camaro was a design rebel, debuting the brand's first ever slanted grille. No more perfect verticals. This bold move got the Camaro mixed reviews, landing on lists like the 10 Worst Cars and the Daily Telegraph's 100 Ugliest Cars. In his book Crap Cars, author Richard Porter even called it utterly terrible. But Top Gear's James May defended it, saying the Camaro wasn't ugly, it just had presence, like that pug-faced but well-dressed bloke down the pub. Rolls-Royce was cruising downhill in sales, nearly destined to be left in the history books. Then BMW rides in like a knight in shiny German armor, grabs the wheel, and shifts this luxury beast into high gear. In the grand finale, we see how Rolls-Royce reached new levels, where high-tech meets ultimate luxury. And the cherry on top, Rolls-Royce created the world's most expensive new car. Warning, it's so pricey your wallet might get PTSD. Click the video on screen to watch the final episode.